Picture waking up to find that history has changed overnight. A nuclear attack on New York isn't just a scene from a movie. It's a possibility that could completely shift global security. New York is much more than a bustling metropolis. It's a vital hub of finance and diplomacy. Its collapse would ripple across the entire world. But how would the world react to something like this? Could tensions be contained, or would we face an even greater conflict? In this video, we'll explore how a catastrophic event might redefine alliances, transform the global economy, and reveal the delicate balance that supports modern life. To grasp the impact of a nuclear strike on New York, it's essential to understand the crucial role the city plays in global politics and the economy. Since the 20th century, New York has cemented its status as a financial and cultural epicenter. With Wall Street and the United Nations headquarters, decisions made in New York have global consequences. The fall of New York would deeply unsettle the global balance of power. Events like September 11th showed how a tragedy in New York sends shockwaves around the world, reshaping security policies internationally. Imagine the unimaginable, a nuclear explosion, unleashing chaos and plunging the planet into extreme tension and uncertainty. Global alliances would face intense stress. US allies might rethink their positions, while rivals like Russia and China could shift their geopolitical strategies. The global financial system, heavily reliant on New York's stability, would likely collapse. A Wall Street meltdown would cause worldwide market panic, sparking an economic crisis that could affect millions, destabilizing economies everywhere. Without its headquarters, the UN would face a logistical crisis threatening global diplomacy. New York is not just an American city, it's a symbol of world order and interdependence, and its destruction would have repercussions across every nation. In the initial hours following a nuclear attack, the world would be in shock, with governments needing to act fast. The US president would summon the Security Council, and the military would be on high alert, escalating tensions and sparking fears of retaliation or a potential nuclear escalation. Leaders of major powers like Russia and China would watch closely, weighing the choice between intervening or seizing a strategic advantage. NATO would face a dilemma. Should it act in defense of the US or avoid a global war? This indecision could divide the alliance, weakening its ability to respond effectively. If a terrorist group were behind the attack, immediate focus would shift to internal security, with countries ramping up anti-terror measures and hunting those responsible. Fear of further attacks would put the world on edge, and paranoia could spread quickly among the global population. The world financial system would take a massive hit. Wall Street's destruction would spark a global panic, leading to a crisis of confidence in financial markets. Disruptions in trade would impact supply chains and economic stability, leading to job losses, financial setbacks, and inflation. The UN would also need to respond, but without its main headquarters, its capability would be compromised. Emergency meetings would be called, but lacking a central structure, coordination could prove challenging. Confidence in international institutions, already strained, would be further damaged, thrusting the world into a state of diplomatic uncertainty. The long-term implications of a nuclear attack on New York would severely impact the US's standing as a superpower. The country would face economic and political crises at home, while allies would reconsider close ties or explore new alliances. China and Russia, meanwhile, might expand their influence, capitalizing on American vulnerability. China could accelerate its dominance in Asia, pressuring neighboring countries and intensifying an arms race as nations like Japan and South Korea reconsider their pacifist policies. In Europe, Russia might try to expand its influence, with the continent's security relying on new pacts and strategic collaborations. In the Middle East, a power vacuum could spark regional conflicts over supremacy. Global trade would suffer unprecedented disruption. New York, a central axis of the world economy, if destroyed, could lead to a pullback from globalization, with countries adopting protectionist policies and trade barriers. This economic fragmentation would drive up prices, lead to job losses, and spur financial instability. Global diplomacy would also need reinvention. Without the UN headquarters, diplomacy would suffer, and restructuring international institutions like the IMF and World Bank would become urgent. The UN's legitimacy might be questioned, and new centers of diplomatic influence could emerge. Such events could mark the start of a divided world, or a new attempt at global cooperation to maintain peace. A nuclear attack on New York would have far-reaching social and cultural consequences. Millions of survivors would be displaced, creating an unprecedented humanitarian crisis in the United States, with neighboring states under pressure to shelter refugees. Losing New York as a cultural center would shake the arts and media worlds. Iconic places like Broadway and museums would be gone, and the "city that never sleeps" would become a symbol of tragedy and vulnerability. This collective trauma would divide American society. Nationalist movements might demand increased security, while others would call for global cooperation. Abroad, the attack would generate both solidarity and fear, pushing countries to bolster their defenses. Pop culture would reflect this new reality, with narratives of survival and resilience emerging in a world scarred by tragedy. Would this mark the beginning of a new era defined by unity or division? The destruction of New York would create a deep, lasting fear, transforming how people live and interact. After September 11th, security increased dramatically, but a nuclear attack would introduce an even more intense level of vigilance, reshaping society. Governments would adopt extreme security measures, with checkpoints, mass surveillance, and stricter anti-terror laws, possibly sacrificing civil liberties in the name of protection. Society would face the dilemma of choosing between greater security or preserving freedoms, reigniting debates over the balance between freedom and safety. This fear would spread globally, influencing foreign policies and prompting nations to strengthen defenses and invest in missile technology. The nuclear threat would become a daily reality, alliances would be reevaluated, and fear would guide decisions and behaviors. Such intense fear would breed both solidarity and isolation, with some uniting and others retreating into tight-knit communities. But, under constant alert, how do we maintain a healthy society? That would be the global challenge, shaping how we respond to future crises. A nuclear attack on New York wouldn't be just an American tragedy. It would have global implications, exposing vulnerabilities in world order and forcing nations to rethink their priorities, whether to preserve peace or prepare for future threats. The destruction of a financial pillar like New York would shake not only financial markets, but also international diplomacy. The question is, could we unite to prevent future tragedies? Or would the search for security lead to a more fragmented world? History shows that humanity reacts drastically to crises, but also that we can come together when needed. Today, global cooperation is essential, but achieving real collaboration requires overcoming challenges. Every nation, leader, and citizen must consider the consequences of their actions, finding a balance between security and principles of freedom and dignity. Are we safer or more vulnerable? Though international alliances and technology offer protection, ongoing tensions and disputes still threaten stability. Have we learned enough from the past to avoid new disasters, or are we doomed to repeat the same mistakes? If this video got you thinking about the fragility of global security, give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel for more insights on topics shaping our future. Your opinion matters. Are we prepared for crises like this? Leave your thoughts with ideas and suggestions below. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our next videos, and join the community discussing the challenges of our time. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.